Hello, and thank you for joining us. This is Soundbites Allowed, and I am your host, Michael Voss, Dragon of the Southern Tier. I'm happy to be here with you today, May 18th of 2022. And, well, there's some breaking news that's been coming out. I think many people may have seen it by now, about the Disinformation Governance Board that was created by the Biden-Harris administration. A mystery organization, as presented by the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, Mayorkas, who could not explain what it was. And I say was because it may not exist anymore. But then again, it might. And that is a problem that we should discuss. And we will. But first, I do want to mention, if this is the first time that you are seeing our channel, we welcome you. We thank you for being part of our audience. And we want you to know that we do long-form political commentary. Every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we do a live stream with you. We reach out on all social media that the internet overlords will allow, on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, all of it, to get your tweets, your chats, and yes, your phone calls from anywhere in the world to tell us what you think about the issues that are affecting us all, to hear your voice because we believe in the First Amendment. We believe in your right to be able to have speech, whether your government agrees, whether the internet overlords agree. We look forward to hearing from you every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we hope you will join us this Sunday. Since its inception, the Disinformation Governance Board, created by the Biden-Harris administration, has been routinely compared to the Ministry of Truth from 1984. They have been called the thought police and the arbiters of right and wrong speech. The reason why this has been said is because there's no real clear understanding what they are intended to do. It seems to be a social experiment, an experiment by the government of the United States to go into social media and the internet and to moderate what is to be considered truth and what is to be approved and disapproved. We have a lot of documentation that tells us that this is a good thing, that having this organization that decides what is true and what is not true, what is accurate and what is not accurate, well, we've heard a lot about how this is a good thing for Americans and the world because the government can be trusted. Of course they can. In fact, we can see that this is from May 2nd, a fact sheet from the Department of Homeland Security on the internal working group to protect free speech and fundamental rights. So when they say protect fundamental rights, what rights is this organization supposed to protect? It's supposed to protect national security from misinformation, information that the American government does not agree with, that the American government thinks is wrong, kind of like the Hunter Biden laptop. This has all been discussed before. The Hunter Biden laptop has always been true from the very beginning. It was just not approved of. There were many of the left-leaning news media that wanted to discourage people from hearing about it because it could interfere with the results of elections. That we know now, 2.5 years later. But that doesn't resolve what is this organization supposed to do. Is it supposed to confirm that? We do know that its former head, Nina Jankowicz, she was on board with the crowd of the left-leaning news media trying to debunk, trying to discourage American citizens from finding out about the Hunter laptop, again, that we know is true. So, what is this group supposed to do? It's not really clear. We know that they work within the Department of Homeland Security. We know that they say they will protect American national security and they will correct misinformation on the internet, but we really don't know what any of that means or how any of that is done. And to date, there has been no answer about it. But there have been a lot of questions about the head of that department, and that leadership gives us an understanding of the direction that this organization would take. That's why they are the leader of that organization. And we know that, according to the AP, old comments by Disinformation Board Director Nina Jankowicz is being misrepresented online. This is their statement on May 14th. The claim is that Nina Jankowicz, who is to be the director of the Homeland Security's Disinformation Governance Board, said she wants to verify Twitter users to be able to edit other users' tweets. That's not exactly what she said, nor is that exactly the claim that was bothering many, many people. And that's what the Associated Press does mention. Most importantly, they go through and they present the 2011, January 27, 2011, a conversation with the Georgia Independent School Librarians, which Nina Jankowicz took part of. And in that, there was a discussion about a program that was going to be available from Twitter. And Nina said about this program that would expand the capabilities of some verified Twitter users, she says, quote, "But there are a lot of people who shouldn't be verified who aren't, legit in my opinion." I think that's critical. We'll come back to it. She goes on to say, "I mean, they are real people, but they're not trustworthy." Anyway, so verified people can essentially start to edit Twitter the same sort of way that Wikipedia is, so they can add context to certain tweets. Now, to be fair, she's talking about a program, a pilot program from Twitter that would allow verified users to alter or add notes to other Twitter users' feeds, to add context, as they say. Now, when you add context, that doesn't necessarily mean you're adding truth. You're just changing what people know about something. Whether or not that's actually factual has nothing to do with it. But she supported this to an extent because she wanted people to have, and they go on to quote her, so that people have a fuller picture rather than just an individual claim on a tweet. Now, what is there that stops any American citizen or anyone around the world from going out and finding out more information for themselves? Nothing. You can click on something and click something else. You can do a search anytime you want. So you don't need people on Twitter, verified or not, to do that work for you. You can do it yourself. But the thing I find interesting, and this is the question, and I think this is where the concern of most people came from, was that Ms. Jankowicz said there are people who should be verified. She's trying to determine the criteria that an independent company has made on who is trustworthy and who is not. In fact, she actually says they're real people, but they're not trustworthy. They're not legit in her opinion. Why does her opinion in 2011 or in 2022, why does her opinion matter more than either an independent organization or anyone else in the public? Is it because she has a certain point of view that we have seen in video after video on Twitter and other sources? She has a left-leaning point of view, a left-leaning ideology, a progressive. And if something doesn't agree with that, does it mean it's not true? Or does it mean it's just another idea? It's a different ideology. It's a different point of view. We're not talking about 2 plus 2, which, again, according to some progressives, equals racism, not 4. So which one is true? Is it true that 2 plus 2 equals racism, or is it 2 plus 2 equals 4? Because we can see many people from BLM and Antifa, the far left, that will tell you it's about racism, as opposed to mathematicians that will tell you it's 4. Which one would the Disinformation Governance Board pick? Well, that was the big question that was going around, and that was the question that people were concerned with. That choice between those two simple things, 2 plus 2 equals 4 or 2 plus 2 equals racism, which way they would lean, this organization, could make it either a tool of the government or a ministry of truth. That brings us to today. And this is the 18th, 4 days later. The Biden administration is considering to shut down the Disinformation Board amid blistering criticism. That's wrong. This is from the National Review, and they are wrong. And there are many other news media outlets that are misinforming the public. The information is incorrect. What they say in this report, and the thing that I think is critical about it is, as reported at 11 a.m., after a wave of backlash, the Department of Homeland Security is considering shutting down its just created Disinformation Governance Board, which was officially tasked with combating false narratives around domestic terrorism and human trafficking along the border, but which is widely interpreted as having a much broader brief to monitor and possibly curtail disfavored political speech. Now, that's not the same thing as considering to shut it down. There's a difference here because it's just 3 weeks after its inception as they go on, and the operations have been paused. See, there's a difference between a pause and shutting it down. And I think there is a blur in the media about the meaning of these two different things, that it is being paused or it's being shut down. See, we do know from other news sources, and in particular, going back to the Associated Press, we know that this is something that there's another 75 days that it has been paused. The operations have been stopped, at least temporarily. And that over the next 75 days, roughly 2 months, 2.5 months from now, the Department of Homeland Security will make a decision whether to modify the Disinformation Governance Board, to remove it, or to somehow otherwise alter it. So it isn't gone. It is not being shut down, at least not yet. In fact, that's not necessarily on the table at this moment. And it has lost its leader. Nina Jankowicz has resigned from the position because of the intense scrutiny by left, right, and center news media. Another lie that we have heard about. We've heard that it's only the right that is having some concern. That's not true. We have seen individuals who are liberal, who are independent, individuals who barely pay attention to politics, as well as those on the right and the far right that are all concerned. We have seen individuals from around the globe that are concerned about any government that manipulates information that is provided by the public or other news sources. So it's disingenuous to say that this is a right issue or a right-leaning issue. This is a public issue. This is about the information from governments to the public, and everyone should be concerned about that. And because of the attention that the leader of that program, which could be a supremely powerful organization, she resigned. People looked into what she has been saying, like we just quoted you from the Associated Press, and even in looking at her comments and understanding that she did not say that she wants to go and edit comments on Twitter or on social media, she did make statements that were saying she was valuing and categorizing individuals on social media and determining the value, the truth of some individuals versus others on a criteria that no one knows what that criteria is. No one knows what those values were, that she made the determination that someone is trustworthy or not when that individual has already been deemed as being verified by Twitter and other social media sources. And how would that interact with her actions with the public in addressing, say, Russia disinformation that has been alleged to affect elections in the United States? Then again, every country in the world, it tries to influence American elections, just like America tries to influence elections in all the rest of the world. That's called international espionage. That's why we all have spy agencies. It's a normal practice of every nation in every country of the world. Some are more successful than others. That can be a good or bad thing. That's not what we're speaking about at the moment. But when we have one individual who's trying to determine this statement is good and that statement is bad, that gets dicey. But what else would they do? As we have seen, they have said that they would be acting on other fundamental rights. What does that mean? No one has been able to provide a clear answer. How are they going to be doing that? No one has a clear answer. And because of the statements of Nina Jankowicz in the past, which are questionable, highly questionable, her credibility was non-existent, as is the credibility of the organization she was meant to lead. But let me get back to the point at hand. This organization is not gone. This organization still exists. It's still here. And we do see that from many outlets, news outlets are reporting it correctly, like the New York Post that says that Biden puts the disinformation Mary Poppins on ice and scraps the Orwellian Department of Homeland Security. That's not accurate. They're not gone. Now you're going to say to me, Mike, but why does that matter? I mean, they're on pause. In 75 days, they'll be gone. Are you sure? Are you sure that's exactly what the outcome is going to be? Because I'm not, and you shouldn't be either. See, while we have news outlets that are saying it's gone, let's celebrate, the fact is it's paused, which is not the same thing. And it doesn't mean that it will be gone in 75 days. In fact, what may happen is that the Department of Homeland Security may rename this organization, because the name is terrible, and they'll rename it to something less incendiary. They may reword the nature of its purpose, and they will re-present this. In fact, they will probably present this in 3 months' time when no one is paying attention, as an aside, as something that's going on, and at the same time that the rest of the world will be occupied with whatever is the news cycle of the day at that moment. And it may not be the most important news that Americans will be paying attention to, especially not with a different name and a different worded mission statement, something less offensive, something less objectionable. Not that its purpose has changed, not that its experiment is different. It doesn't mean that the government won't be still trying to determine this statement is true, that one isn't. We like this statement, we don't like that statement, and still being a component and actually a ministry of truth. And this is why we are bringing this up, because it is dangerous. In the meantime, we're also trying to figure out something else about this that we think is very important as well, because we decided to ask the Department of Homeland Security. See, no one understands what's going on with the infrastructure for this organization. No one knows. So we have sent out a FOIA request to try and find out, where is the money being spent? Not only where is the money being spent, but how much money is being spent from taxpayers to fund this experiment of the Biden-Harris administration. This organization to determine whose truth is the truth. And what are they spending the money on in terms of office equipment and computers, software, the salary of individuals, the staff? How much money is being spent? Has it been millions already? And we would assume it has been millions. We assume that they have rental contracts for property, that they have contracted for equipment, computers, office equipment, that they have invested in software, that they have in staffing that they've had to have, not just for the board itself, but their staff and secretaries that would help them investigate and search out information and those who are creating programs to be able to search out the internet and identify items of misinformation, this is rather involved. We're talking about dozens, if not hundreds of individuals potentially. We're talking about millions of dollars of man hours and actual taxpayer dollars being spent on this program. How much of that has been wasted that we will never see again? How much of that money is actually in the process that continues to move forward that they have put in place? Does the building that they would be housed in still exist? Is there computer equipment now sitting there? Are there individuals who have been hired with contracts do those contracts go away? Do we buy them out? Do these individuals get paid, and for how long? What is happening here? See, again, we're in the middle of a mystery and we do not know the answer, which is why we sent in a FOIA request to the Department of Homeland Security. We would like to see that the Department of Homeland Security will respond quickly on this. We doubt that. But the question remains, and our fear remains, that because it is on pause, the Department of Homeland Security will take this opportunity to rename this organization into something innocuous and boring and something that no one will pay attention to. That they will rewrite the mission statement into something innocuous and boring that most people will not pay attention to. And we believe that in 90 days, they will flip the switch and turn this back on, with barely a statement being made to the public on some various Friday at the end of the business day as just an additional little bit of information. And oh, by the way, we have this organization that's been started. It's already been planned for. It's something that the Biden-Harris administration has been working on for quite some time, and we're starting the program in a cautionary form, as a trial run. That's what they're going to word it as, in the calmest, simplest, safest, most boring way that they possibly can, so that they can then do what they were planning to do all the way with less attention. And that will put them just in time to be able to do this to affect the 2022 midterm elections, to be able to inject a government sensibility about what is right and wrong as people are starting to pay attention to elections and who they want to vote for. Can you see the danger? Can you see why we're concerned? We hope to have a rather immediate response from the Department of Homeland Security. We doubt that. We expect it to take at least a month to get a response. We would like to say that we would have a response immediately. We call on all of the rest of the major news media who have far more people, far more access, and far more leverage than this channel does, to ask the very same questions that we have presented so that they can get the answer ahead of time. If we must be the only ones who ask the question and to wait to get the answers, we will do that. But we know the major mainstream media can get the answers to these questions faster. What is happening with our money? What has been done on this plan? Is there an infrastructure that has been built and is in place and can be reinitiated on short notice by the Department of Homeland Security to achieve the exact same purpose and mission without the fanfare that we have seen that the Disinformation Governance Board has received? We want to hear if you think this is a concern you should have. Do you think the news media should find out if this is just being put on the side till you forget? Or do you think they're going to get rid of it? We'd like to hear what you have to say, and we look forward to your answer. Thank you.